always from the heart of the city, and now on demand 24/7 on the CHFI website. This is the soundtrack to accompany a well-manicured lawn. And I'm Don Jackson, around the world on the internet. James Russell Lowell said, "In creating, the only hard things to begin. A grass blade's no easier to make than an oak." And Walt Whitman, in Leaves of Grass, wrote, and I quote, "A child said, 'What is the grass?' fetching it to me with full hands. Now it seems to me the beautiful uncut hair of graves. I believe a leaf of grass is no less than the journey work of the stars." Walt Whitman, in Leaves of Grass. On the Lawn this hour with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Jim Cuddy and Pull Me Through, and Norah Jones and Come Away With Me. And I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. It is that time of the year, once again, when we must prepare our lawns for the summer to come. I was out tending to my lawn early yesterday. I was reminded of that line from a biographer writing about the great Native American chief, Sitting Bull. A love for his soil, wholly mystical. He used to say that healthy feet can hear the very heart of Holy Earth. Up always before dawn, he liked to bathe his bare feet, walking about in the morning dew. Unquote. Lovers and Other Strangers on the Lawn with iTunes and CHFI.com. Rod Stewart with This. Percy Sledge, When a Man Loves a Woman, and Bill Withers with Grover Washington Jr. from the album Winelight, and Just the Two of Us. I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. I challenge anybody in their darkest moment to write what they are grateful for. Even stupid things like green grass or a friendly conversation with somebody on the elevator. You start to realize how rich you are. Unquote. A quote from Jim Carrey in USA Today some years back. I bought a push mower a few years back. They've made so many improvements since the days when my father originally owned one. One thing hasn't changed, though. You can't let the grass grow too long. Otherwise, it's too difficult to mow. We may grumble about the maintenance of our lawn, but homeowners have almost a spiritual connection to that small patch of green. Chief Dan George wrote a beautiful poem called My Heart Soars. It was published by Hancock House Publishers in Surrey, BC, and I quote, "The beauty of the trees, the softness of the air, the fragrance of the grass speaks to me." Unquote. Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Rhianna and Take a Bow, John Denver with Annie Song, and Paul Anka with Anthea, Anka, and Do I Love You. I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. I walk my dog in a local ravine. She always seems to find her own path. Christopher Williams from Origins of Form, published by Architectural Book Publishing Company, wrote, and I quote, "A leading architect once built a cluster of office buildings set in a central green. The landscape crew asked him where he wanted the sidewalks between the buildings. His reply, just plant grass between the buildings. By late summer, the new lawn was laced with pathways of trodden grass. The paths followed the most efficient line between the points of connection, turned in easy curves rather than at right angles, and were sized according to the traffic flow. In the fall, the architect simply paved the pathways. Not only did the paths have a design beauty, but they responded directly to user needs." Unquote. In our rush to create skyscrapers, shopping malls, and roads, we have found something lacking if we also don't include green spaces. Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Don Henley with The End of the Innocence and Counting Crows in a Big Yellow Taxi. And I'm Don Jackson on the lawn with Lovers and Other Strangers. From iTunes and CHFI.com for this third day in May of 2010. Anne Morrow Lindbergh wrote a poem called Height. It was featured in the collection Bring Me a Unicorn, published by Harcourt Brace Jovanovich. She wrote, and I quote, "When I was young, I felt so small and frightened, for the world was tall, and even grasses seemed to me a forest of immensity, until I learned that I could grow. A glance would leave them far below. Spanning a tree's height with my eye, suddenly I soared as high, and fixing on a star, I grew. I pushed my head against the blue. Still, like a singing lark, I find rapture to leave the grass behind. And sometimes, standing in a crowd, my lips are cool against a cloud." A poem called Height by Anne Morrow Lindbergh. This is one of my favorite lines from a contemporary bestseller, and I quote, "The old bridge, peeling red in color, tilting slightly from all the years, sat across a small stream." Unquote. A few lines later, this author writes, and again I quote, "It was quiet. A red-winged blackbird sat on fence wire and looked in at her. A meadowlark called from the roadside grass. Nothing else moved in the white sun of August." Unquote. A quote from Robert James Waller, writing in the Bridges of Madison County, published in 1992 by Warner Books. Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Chicago, Just You and Me Roberta Flack Feel Like Making Love, and Gino Vannelli's Wild Horses. And I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. They say that grass is the ultimate weed. I've never seen a weed that needs so much attention. Elizabeth A. Allen wrote, and I quote, "The earth is waking at the voice of May. The new grass brightens by the trodden way. The woods wave welcome to the sweet spring day. And the sea is growing summer blue." Unquote. Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. I hope you will tell all your friends about Lovers and Other Strangers. Good night, sweet dreams. I'm Don Jackson.